Good morning. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L.L Method International, a better way to eliminate debt. On today's show, as you can see here, we're going to be talking about prepayment penalties. You know, the way that finances are taught in this country, and in fact, around the world, we are being taught things that are incorrect. In fact, here at the P.I.L.L Method, we generally teach the opposite of what the experts are teaching. So today, we're going to get into how prepayment penalties are actually something to be benefited from instead of something that you need to avoid. So just stop and think about it for just a second. Everything you've heard about prepayment penalties is negative. All right. So, when I'm doing my show or I'm talking to a particular client and we talk about prepaying the loan, paying off the loan early, paying off the loan cheaper, getting rid of the mortgage in 6 or 7 years. Undoubtedly, somebody is going to mention prepayment penalties, which are quite common, by the way, in Canada on residential property. And they're quite common in Bermuda on residential property, prepayment penalties. And I've had opportunities to talk to people in both countries about prepayment penalties and how they can work for you once you understand how they work. So we're going to be talking about that today. All right. So I need you all to get out your pencil and paper, get ready to take some fabulous notes, and also share this channel with your friends. We're going to get to 10,000. We're going to get to 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year with your help. People need to know what we talk about here. And I need your help to do that. The folks here in Clubhouse that are listening, I need you to go to YouTube and watch this as well so that you can see our examples. So if you are ready to learn something brand new, something that you've never heard before, how prepayment penalties are a good thing, then you are in the right place. So let's go ahead. Let's get ready to get started. And let me see here. I need to pull up. There we go. There we go. I need to pull this up. So let's get ready to get started. I'm looking forward to this show. It's a brand new show. We've never done a show like this before. So I know you are going to get something out of this. Be right back. Oh, yes. So listen, I read the description on this as well. So you want to understand how prepayment penalties actually work. So we're going to be using today something that is quite common in the US for commercial properties. It's called the step down prepayment penalty. It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the penalty is 5% in the first year, 4% in the second, 3, 2, and 1 for the fifth year. And then you can prepay this loan without any penalty at all. So prepayment penalties are designed so that if you pay off the loan early, the the lender still gets some of their money. Now, let's take a look at an example here. I'm getting ready to put on the screen. Let me get my notes over here, and then I can bring things up on this screen so that we can go over that. All right. Let's see here. Get rid of that. All right. And that. There we go. Got my notes here. All right. So we're going to be bringing up Brett Whistle for our to do all the math for us. And you're going to need your calculators to check me to make sure that what I'm telling you is the truth. You see, the thing about P.I.L.L method that you won't see on any other show on the internet, when it comes to finances, when it comes to paying off debt, when it comes to managing your loans, we actually show you the numbers as to why this is the right thing or why this is the wrong thing to do. All right. So let's go ahead and let's bring up Brett Whistle, BRETWHISSEL. And we're going to put that right on the screen today. Okay. So share that. And there we go. All right. So we're bringing this up and adding it to the stage. There we go. So we're going to be working with a 300-month mortgage or 25 years. That's kind of standard when it comes to commercial properties. Okay. And we're going to be looking at $500,000. And we're going to pick 6%. Now we're going to do 5%. Okay. Since we're looking at a 5% penalty. Now, here's the first thing we need to take a look at. When it comes to the 5% penalty on this loan, is it the same as 5%? Is it the same as 5% amortized in the mortgage? Is it the same? And that is where people most commonly are misled. Okay. So think of a magician, all right, that says, look over here and not over there. Okay. So when you think of a magician, it says, listen, I want to distract you from what's really going on. So let's take a look at what would happen on this loan if you were to prepay all of it in the first year. Okay. So in commercial real estate, one of the things people do is they may get a short-term loan, or they may get a loan just for a particular purpose and then refinance out of it. Part of what some lenders do is say, listen, I don't want you to refinance out of this loan. So in the first year, if you refinance out of it, there's going to be a 5% penalty. All right. So let's take a look at this loan right now. $500,000 at 5%. The payment is $2,922.95. Let me put my calculator on the screen. Okay. Let's bring this over. All right. So if I pay this whole thing off right now, okay. So we have 500,000 and we pay off the whole loan. The penalty is going to be this times 5%. $25,000 penalty for paying off this loan. Now, you can raise your hand, you can put something in the chat, you can do whatever you need to do, but tell me, how do you feel about a $25,000 penalty when you're paying off a loan? Should they be able to charge that? And what is the purpose of the $25 penalty in the first place? The purpose is for you to look at the penalty. You see, the fear of loss is greater than the desire for gain. I need you to think about the fact that if you're in business, we're doing what's called opportunity cost calculations all the time. You know, if I do this, this is going to be my benefit or this is going to be my cost. Or if I do this over here, this is going to be my benefit or this is going to be my cost. When we take a look at prepayment penalties, folks, we've been conditioned to look at one half of an opportunity cost calculation. Okay? So if I prepay this loan, I'm going to get hit with a $25,000 penalty, but I need you to look at this. Here is what the bank wants for this mortgage. Total interest paid is $376,885. So if you pay this loan off, what happens to this $376,000? What happens to that? Listen, I would love it if somebody would come in here. Let me do this as well. You know, let me invite some people to our podcast here. Let me see here. Here's the link. All right. We're going to put it in the chat. Okay. Boom. If you want to come in on our show here on YouTube, you can. And I'm going to put it in the comment section. All right. Let's see. This will go out to YouTube. This will go out to Facebook and LinkedIn. All right. So there is the link. If you want to join the show today, you can come in here live and ask questions. So here's what you need to know. If you pay this loan off, you avoid paying $376,885. But it's going to cost you $25,000 to do it. There's something about a $25,000 penalty up front that is more hurtful to us than looking at paying, look at this now, $376,000 over time. Now, I don't care how you look at it. If we just take all emotion out of this thing, all emotion is gone. If you had a choice to pay $25,000 for this loan or $376,000 for this loan, is there any doubt which choice you would make? Is there any doubt? Okay. So what if you looked at it this way? What if we looked at it this way? What if you could take this loan at 5%, okay, and pay a flat fee of 5% for this loan? What if they offered you that? Let's kind of reframe it. Okay, Don, I'm going to give you this $500,000 loan. There's going to be a 5% flat fee for it. And then you can pay off the loan. We're going to give you a monthly payment that you can make for the next 25 years. But we're going to charge you a flat fee up front of 25 grand. And then you just pay principal after that. If somebody presented that to you, how would you feel about that? You see, somehow that sounds better than if you pay this loan off early, we're going to hit you with a $25,000 penalty. When we hear the word penalty, folks, there's something that happens in our brain that says avoid penalties. But if I were to present it that way as, listen, this is a benefit here. We're going to charge you a flat fee as opposed to amortization, because amortization works like this. Okay, let's take a look at it. If you're on Clubhouse, you really want to go to YouTube and see these numbers. All right. So the total interest paid on this loan is $376,885. So the bank wants you to stay in this loan as long as possible so they can get as much of this money as they possibly can. That is their goal. So if we can do this, I need you to see that 5% loan, that 5% really means when it's amortized, the bank wants 75% of the money you borrowed. So this number, 376,885, is 75% of $500,000. It is not, it's not 5% at all. It's 75%. So, folks, we have been doing opportunity cost calculations with very little data. Number one, you need to know what the true cost is on this loan so that if you're presented with another option, then you can compare. When you're talking about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now let's say you pay it off. You say you pay off part of this loan in the next year. All right. You've been in the loan 1 year. Let's see what happens. So you don't want to get hit with a 5. You don't want to get hit with a 5% penalty. So you're going to stay in the loan for a year so you can avoid $25,000 penalty by paying it off. Here's what the bank is going to receive if you avoid this loan for 1 year. You stay in it for 1 year. You pay your loan down by $10,309.55. And here's how much interest you pay. $24,765.85. That is a total of $34,000 paid out. And all you got out of it, out of your 34 grand, well, no, that's 35,000. Out of $35,000, what did you get? $10,000 in equity. That's it. And why? Why? Because we wanted to avoid a $25,000 fee for paying off the loan early. Now, let's do something that's let's talk about something that's a little more practical. Okay. But first, I need you to listen to this. All right. So I put some notes together. Okay. And let me read this to you. Okay. This is an article that is part of which will be going in my book, The Psychology of the Penalty. For nearly a century, banks have used prepayment penalties to control borrower behavior through fear. You see, it's all about fear. It's not about the numbers. If it was about the numbers, it would be easy. Okay? Through fear, the perception of being penalized for paying early reinforces a belief that debt must last its full term. Okay? This paper explores how the prepayment penalty represents only half of a larger opportunity cost calculation and how fear of loss prevents borrowers from recognizing the hidden potential of saved thousands to save thousands in interest payments. So if I pay the penalty, I save thousands in interest I don't have to pay, and it's never presented that way to us. Okay? So let me see here. All right. I need to point out, let me see here. No, that's not the notes I want. Okay. But I need you to understand the idea that this is an illusion. The penalty part is the illusion. I need you to look over here at the penalty so you don't see me picking your pocket for all of this money. Okay? So let's just say something that's a little more practical. We're not going to pay off the whole loan. Okay? We want to take, let's just say I'm going to take $100,000, that I can prepay on this loan. But I'm going to be hit with, not because they can't charge me they can't charge me 5% on the entire amount. They will charge, if I pay $100,000 early on this loan, they are going to hit me with a 5% penalty on $100,000. So let's take a look at it. $100,000, okay, times 5% equals $5,000. So I can either, okay, so if I put $100,000 down on this loan as a prepayment, not a down payment, but a prepayment, I'm already into the loan. The loan has closed already. Okay, it is closed. And somewhere along the line in the first year, I give the bank an extra $100,000 over and above my regular payment. I need you to see what happens when I do. Now, we already know 1/2 of the opportunity cost calculation. Half of it is the cost is going to cost me $5,000 to give the bank $100,000. So in other words, my first interest payment on this loan is $2,083.33. So even if I give the bank this money to prepay in the first month, I have to pay $2,083.33. I'm going to take $100,000 out of some investment somewhere, put it on this loan, all right, and get hit with a $5,000 penalty. Oh my goodness! Hey William, how you doing, buddy? So that's $100,000. That is $2,083.33 in interest. That is also a $5,000 penalty. So my brain is just reeling right now. So let's add it all up. Okay. All right, William, we're going to bring you up, brother. Come on up. I'm trying to invite you up. Let me do this one more time. All right, invite to speak. Let's see if we can get you up here, buddy. All right. I don't know why it's not working. Maybe you need to go out and come back in. Hey, Rune, I can see you. Rune Bacon is here from Norway. He's watching us on YouTube this morning. All right. Rune, I'm going to put, let me put this link in here. All right. So that if you want to join the show, you can. All the way from Norway. All right. Let me put this in here. Hey, William, how you doing, sir? All right. Glad to see you this morning. Glad to see you this morning. Let me put this moderator badge on you. There you go. All right. So here's what we're talking about, folks. I'm adding things up. So we're talking about the 2,000. First of all, the interest that the bank wants to charge me. 2,000. $2,083.33. Okay. That's the first thing. I've got to pay that. All right. Then $100,000 out of some investment or out of my bank to prepay the loan. So that's an additional $100,000. Okay. There it is. Okay. And then the $5,000 fee or prepayment penalty plus $5,000. Oops. Got to back, delete that. All right. Plus, all right, 5,000 equals, in 1 month, I'm going to pay out $107,083.33, all because I want to prepay this. And I'm looking, all right, I see Rune is in here. Let me add him to the stage. Rune, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Why don't you put your camera down so we can see your whole face?
Yeah, there we go.
All right, buddy. So let me change up my, there we go. There it is. All right.
There
Good.
we go. Good to see you, my friend.
Listen, I've had opportunity to talk to you,
Yes.
and I'm glad that you're here. And tell the folks, a little bit about who you are and why this is interesting to you.
Yeah, well, my name is Rune Bakken, and I'm calling all the way from Norway. So, hi, guys. And just want to tell you guys that I really enjoy being here with Don, and he has a good reach, reaching all the way over to Europe. And it's for everybody. It's in the name International and the P.I.L.L Method International. And I think this is universal for everybody. We want to pay our debts down quickly, and with Don's program, where we have a beautiful opportunity. So I'm in the process now of selling my apartment, and I'm for sure gonna link up with Don to get a right loan for me, so that we can start working on a payment that's going to be paid down in 7 to 9 years. That's my goal and aim, and I just want to say thank you so much, Don, for your services. We love you and appreciate you, and good to be here.
Thank you, Rune. Thank you for coming in. So listen, chime in anytime during this presentation on prepayment penalties. So right now, we're paying out 107,000, and 5,000 of that is a penalty. All right, and that's what we focus on, ladies and gentlemen. But I need you to add in the other half of the equation, the part that we are conditioned not to look at. I need you to take a look here at cumulative principal on this chart. This adds up all the principal payments that you pay on this loan and adds up all the interest you're supposed to pay as well. So this is cumulative principal, this is cumulative interest. So if you pay month after month on time of your payment, this much goes to principal, this much goes to interest. This much goes to principal, this much goes to interest. But if you give them $100,000 all at one time, you skip several payments. Let's see what happens. I need you to watch cumulative principal as we give this bank $100,000 up front. So we're going to scroll down and we're going to keep scrolling until we get to $100,000. There it is, 97 payments later, okay? It would normally take us 97 payments to get here if we paid on time every month. And the $5,000 fee that we would get hit with says, I don't want you to pay $100,000 down. And I'm going to scare you with paying an extra $5,000 if you do that. Because if you do that, you're going to eliminate 96 payments you never have to make and save $101,746.24 in interest you never have to pay. I need you all to kind of let that sink in a minute. Has anybody ever explained to you how prepayment penalties work like this? Okay. They only talk about the bad part, the penalty part, the part that people don't want. But what if you were to change the word from penalty to cost? There is a cost to prepay. Now we can start asking different questions. If it's going to cost me to prepay, meaning I'm actually paying for something, now my mind goes to, from avoid a penalty, it goes to, what am I purchasing if there's a cost? So if I prepay this, what am I purchasing? I'm purchasing knocking off on this loan, okay, 8 years, eliminating 8 years from this mortgage in 1 month. 8 years is gone. And I'm purchasing $746.24 in interest savings, and I paid down my loan by $100,000.
I would say that's a great way to look at it. We got to shift in the mind here. The way you said it there, if I'm purchasing something, it's more positive than a penalty.
Yes.
So that's a great way to look at it. And when you see the number at 181,747.24, I would say if I can purchase that for $5,000, that's a pretty great deal. So I see what you're getting at here, and it's all the psychology. We've got to work on the psychology and get out of the cognitive dissonance. I have that, and a lot of people have it, and you're helping us with that and understanding the way out of it.
Rune, thank you for that. So what we're doing is reframing the penalty as an investment. Let me bring my notes back over here, okay? So what if the prepayment penalty isn't a loss, but a wealth-preserving investment? This reframing aligns with the P.I.L.L method philosophy of turning fear into a measurable strategy, whether it's a program fee or a lender penalty. The question isn't how much does it cost, but how much does it save? That is the real question. So people ask me all the time, they ask me, Don, what does your program cost? And I said, that is a great question. It's just not a great first question. How much does it cost? The first question should be, what is going to be my benefit? What will I get for my money? That should be the first question. So how much does it cost? But how much does it save? Once you control the principal payment, you control the loan, and by extension, your financial destiny. So we need to get rid of the fear that goes along with these ideas. And let me see here, prepayment. All right. And I've got some additional notes here that I want to bring up. Okay. And let me see here. And okay, perception versus reality. Okay. So when we're talking about perception versus reality on this thing, we need, let me see here. We need this back. We need this back over here. All right, good. We need to see what's really going on behind the scenes. We have been made to think that 5% flat fee is the same as 5% amortized. And you see now that it is vastly, and I mean vastly different. So perception is, they're the same in my mind. And a behavioral economist would call that mental accounting. We don't stop to actually do the math. We just think that the fee and the interest cost on the loan are exactly the same because they're both using the term 5%. But if we were to do the math of 5% flat fee and then a 5% amortized, not even close. So if you are a real estate investor, if you are even a homeowner, and in 96 payments to avoid that flat fee, you would pay your loan down by $98,000, but you will also give the bank $181,000 to get this equity. Do you think it's fair that the bank should be able to charge you $181,000 of your dollars for the privilege of paying down a loan for $98,000? Let me put this another way. If you prepay this loan by $100,000, if you prepay it by $100,000, okay, and give the bank $100,000 here up front, you avoid $101,000 in interest. And here's what happens. This is all the interest you pay. $2,083.33. That's it. If you make your regular payment and give the bank an extra $100,000, you get the same equity. You pay down to the same place you would if you had paid it in 90 some payments, but all you pay in interest is $2,083.33. Hey, Steve, how you doing, buddy? Okay. $2,000 interest instead of $181,000 interest. Folks, it's not even a contest here. Okay. So let's talk about what's actually going on in our brains. So if you read any books on behavioral science when it comes to finances, okay, a behavioral economist would look at this as as loss aversion and framing. Here's what loss aversion means. All right. People are psychologically more sensitive to perceived losses, and I said perceived losses, than equivalent gains. Okay. So I'm going to look at, you mean I got to pay $5,000 out of my pocket? They look at that and it is something about it that feels wrong, but they don't see the equivalent gain of not paying $181,000. When it comes to finances, when it comes to our loans, we have to learn how to take emotion out of it and let the math do the talking. Let me finish this up. A prepayment penalty is framed as a fee or a fine for early action, triggering a strong negative response, even when mathematically the interest savings, all right, from prepaying significantly outweigh the penalty itself. Okay, that's right here. Now, framing effect, the way the penalty is presented, i.e., okay, as an explicit cost to pay off early, makes it feel worse than the ongoing, less tangible cost of interest that is simply embedded in our regular payments. You see, if the interest is embedded in our regular payments, we tend to think that that's something that we should do. That is a bias, ladies and gentlemen. We have a certain bias when it comes to dealing with debt. And overcoming that bias is extremely, extremely difficult and causes extreme stress when we go against what we have been taught all of these years. So, borrowers react more strongly to one-time fees than to the steady drip of interest payments, even when the total interest is much greater. Okay? This is when I was talking about mental accounting here. All right, let's take a look at this. Mental accounting. Many borrowers mentally separate penalties, one-time big losses, from interest, routine cost of borrowing, failing to make a true cost benefit comparison. We are kept from making that comparison because there's nobody else out there to tell us, here's the benefit for prepaying. Here's what you get. Here's what you don't have to pay. Right now, you're losing $100,000. This way, you don't have to lose the $100,000. You get to keep it, right? But it's going to cost you something to get it. And you know, that's got to be okay. So, misunderstanding the math. Research in behavioral economics suggests that most people do not let's see, most people do not do the full math comparison between interest saved and penalty paid. They may avoid a financially advantageous early payoff simply because the payment is salient, meaning it is present, it is right now, and feels punitive. It does, because it feels punitive, doesn't make it punitive. This is what we have been conditioned to think. So let me ask you something, folks. Many of you have paid extra on a loan before, but has the bank ever given you a receipt that says, here's how much money you saved by, excuse me, by prepaying this amount of money early? Have you ever received a receipt from the bank stating how much interest you saved? No, you haven't, and you never will. Why? Because that part is supposed to remain hidden. That is the magic trick. That is the sleight of hand. That is, look over here at this thing that's supposed to be distasteful, so I can keep picking your pocket over here, and you don't even notice it. Let me point something else out to you. You know, I've met people who they've been in their loan for like 5 years. And in 5 years, this loan is paid down by $57,000, but $118,000 is paid out in interest. Most people I talk to are surprised to see that they paid that much interest in 5 years just to pay their loan down by $57,000. Okay. And then I ask, how easy was it to pay the $118,000? And I get the same answer. It was very easy to pay it because I wasn't thinking about it as I was doing it. I was focused on the interest rate, and I was focused on my payment. And I got into the habit of making the payment. And by getting into that habit, this is what happens. We don't stop to look at how it can be beneficial for us to do something different. And this is why we offer to everyone who's listening, if you go to ceodon.com, all right? Let me put this banner on the screen. It's going to crawl across the screen. Go to ceodon.com and get a savings and earnings report, okay? Get a savings and earnings report so that you can find out for yourself what is really going on. So I'm going to be right back in about a minute, okay? But I need you to see something first, and then we're going to talk about what happens when you do what you're supposed to do with these loans, all right? Be right back. How many want to know how to pay off all of your debt in an average of 7 to 9 years? You can do all of this without refinancing, without change to your budget, without sacrificing lifestyle.
Me and my husband do the P.I.L.L method, and last year we were able to pay down $33,000 on our mortgage without feeling like we were poor. We still did tons of entertaining things and enjoyed our family.
You don't have to eat beans and rice every day. You don't have to cut up your credit cards. You don't have to drive a 30-year-old car. You don't have to sell pizzas at night to pay off your mortgage. All you need to do is pay the bank less interest. That's what we're talking about today. Here is what P.I.L.L method stands for: prepayment of principal, isolation of principal amounts, leverage, and liquidity. You understand it? You have a way of getting out of debt more efficiently. The interest rate you're quoted is not the interest rate you pay. You think you're buying a $500,000 home. The true cost of that home is what? $758,000. Total interest paid as a percentage of principal, 51.777%. That's what's going on with this loan. The ability to read and defeat an amortization schedule is not taught at any level of financial education. I need you to understand the power of a penny. You will not hear what I'm talking about from Dave Ramsey. Do you know why? Because I own the copyright. I literally wrote the book.
But Don has some valuable information that can contribute to the quality of a person's life. And it only costs you a few dollars. It's his book. Why not get that?
I'm going to go through the P.I.L.L method myself with some of my investment properties. So I'm going to link up with Don, and then I'm going to sit down with him, show him my investment portfolio, and see how I can eliminate interest.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get a savings and earnings report, okay? If you want to get a savings and earnings report, then you can get it for free, all right? Okay, Rune had to leave, but he's still watching on YouTube. Thank you for being here, buddy. I appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to working with you. Let me change my setup here so we can only have one person talking. That's me. All right, there we go. All right, so let me show you what's going on here. When you do the math, it becomes easy. We've been taught not to do the math. We've been taught not to measure. Here is our opportunity cost calculator that does all of the math and figures out how much interest we're saving along the way by using your current budget. John and Rebecca Jones have in their accounts, they have $4,600 in their checking. They have $3,400 in their savings, and they have a car loan, $4,800. They owe $8,000 on their Discover card. They have a student loan of $30,000, truck loan of $15,000. They've got a motorcycle, $6,000, and a mortgage where they still owe $298,000. When it's added all up, it comes to $362,200. Because of all the interest they have to pay on this, it's going to take several years to pay this off. But if they can cut out $133,381 in interest, they can pay everything off in 7.6 years. How would you like to know the month, day, and year you could be debt-free? And we'll do it for free. We'll tell you for free. So go to ceodon.com, click on the button that says Get a Savings and Earnings Report, and we will produce the report for you. Now, someone from my office has to give you a call to confirm the data that you sent us. But once it's confirmed, you will know the month, day, and year you can be debt-free. And most people, now some people take a little bit longer, or some can pay off a little bit sooner, but this is the average, 7 to 9 years to pay off all of your debt. That's the mortgage, that's the student loans, that's the credit cards, that's the car loan, that's everything paid off in that amount of time. Okay? Now, they'll say, so when you call, and I need you to take a look at this. Now, what we're going to be able to show you is that in this case, they're going to save $133,000 in interest and pay off in 7.6 years. Now, the tendency is, watch this now, because we went over this. What if, let's bring this back. Let me bring this back, because this is crucial. All right. I need to bring this back. Okay. All right. There it is. Here is our amortization schedule. What if we were to say, you already have the loan? Okay. Because I gave the example up front. What if you could pay a $25,000 flat fee for this loan and then make principal payments for the rest of the time? Okay. But that's all the interest you would pay is $25,000. So upfront, flat fee. But Don, I'm already in my loan. What can I do? So we're going to show you how much interest you can save. But think of it this way. What if you had a second chance to pay one flat fee and know exactly how much interest you're going to pay, how much interest you're going to save by paying a flat fee after the fact. So, what are you going to be looking at? 30 years versus 7 years? Are you going to be looking at $300,000 in interest versus $100,000 in interest? Or are you going to be looking at the small flat fee you have to pay to get it? Because of how we're oriented, I'm going to share something with you. Because of how we have been conditioned, do you know some people have said, you know what, Don? I think I find it hard to pay the flat fee up front. So I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing and give the bank $376,000 they don't need. That's what cognitive dissonance does to us, folks. We just need to relieve the pain of cognitive dissonance. I've been doing this for so long, but now you're telling me I can do something much better. But I've got this thing going on inside me saying, yeah, but I've been doing this and I'm still in my house. But do I do something new? Do I do something different to keep from paying all of that interest? I don't want to pay it. I don't want to pay $376,000, but I don't want to pay the flat fee to get it. Do you see what's going on here, folks? That same thing, that same fear that banks thrive on. They thrive on the fear. They thrive on the fact that we don't have the other half of the opportunity cost calculation. They thrive on that so that we don't do what we need to do. So when it comes down to all of this, let me bring up some examples here. All right, let me go to here and prepayment penalty. All right. Here's an analysis example. Let me bring that up. Okay. Here's a person that owes $416,000. Okay. The bank wants $163,000 in interest to pay off what they owe. We're going to show them how to pay only $41,638. Okay. You would have to have an interest rate of 0.64% to do this if the bank offered it to you. 0.64%. This is a 75% interest savings or $122,000 in interest saved. Okay. So you can continue to give the bank that money and pay them the whole $163,000 that they're looking for interest on their loan, pay the loan off in 27.1 years, or you can give them $41,000 and pay everything off in 7.6 years with your current budget and live well while you're doing it. You see, you don't have to sacrifice lifestyle to do this. We're going to show you exactly how to do this. Maintain your lifestyle. You don't need more money, ladies and gentlemen. You just need to learn how to pay less interest on these loans because the money is already there. One of the videos on our YouTube channel is a couple in Alabama who paid off $24,000 in debt in their first 11 months on our program. But when I met them, they only had $13.06 in the bank between both jobs. If they were only, you see, they tried to save $250 a month, put it away. But somehow they have to keep dipping into their savings to do stuff. So they were never able to gain any traction. So listen, you got to ask yourself, Don, how were they able to pay off $24,000 in debt? Where did that money come from? How were they able to do it in 11 months? The money was always there. We just have to learn how to look at it differently and learn how to pay the bank back their money in a way that makes it impossible for them to charge you interest. So keep it in mind, folks. Go to ceodon.com. Save that on your phone. Click on these links that you find in my digital business card and do at least one thing. Fill out the request for a savings and earnings report. And here is the last thing I want to talk to you about today. I've been talking a lot about the flat fee and the interest that you don't have to pay. What I haven't talked about is all the extra interest you are giving to the bank. That is not the real problem. It never was. Here's the real problem. We're going to do another opportunity cost calculation. If you give all that money in interest to the bank when you don't have to, look at this family here. If they take that money and invest it over the next 19 and a half years, even at 1%, okay, even at 1% return on their money, they can turn that money into $1,343,230. And that's just at 1% return on their money. The national average is 6 to 7%. When you pay that money out to the bank, you can't also invest that money. So the money you pay to the bank, they will invest that money. The money you pay to the bank, you're actually robbing your children of their legacy. You talk about generational wealth. This is where it starts. Preserve that money. Stop giving it to the bank. If you had signed that mortgage, listen, I meet people all the time. I ask them, how much did you pay to get into the mortgage? All right, I had a down payment of $30,000. I had closing costs of $12,000 to $15,000. Okay, so I paid all of that so that they can overcharge you by $100,000 to $200,000. You gave them flat fees. You gave them you gave the bank your down payment. You paid fees for closing costs. Okay, you paid a lot of money to get into this house that you love, and you were glad to do it. Now you find out I don't have to give them $122,000 of that money. And when we present this to people, too often, now we don't get it a lot, but too often, people paid a large down payment. They paid closing costs. They signed a contract that they're going to keep this loan for 30 years and pay $122,000 in interest they don't need to pay. They're going to do that and didn't even bother to read the paperwork when they were at the signing table closing the loan. They just signed it. We got the house. We got the keys. All too often, we hear when we can save them $122,000 for a lot less than they paid to get into the loan, they say, I got to think about it. I got to think about it. All too often, because the cognitive dissonance is so strong. The way that this whole system has conditioned us to think is way too strong. So, folks, we have coming up in the not too distant future a 5-day challenge. I'm going to be with you for 5 whole days. We're going to do a challenge online. We're inviting the whole country to be with us. Okay? In fact, because it's online, you don't even have to be in the US to do this. We're going to spend time with you, helping you to overcome the psychological barriers to continue to stop giving all that money to the bank and preserve that money and invest it in your own families, in your own business, in yourselves. 5 days. Okay? 5 days to overcome what the banks have drilled into us for a lifetime. This is why we're doing the challenge, because too many people say, I've got to think about it when the numbers are clear. You paid a ton to get into this thing. You're going to pay a fraction to get out. And people say, I've got to think about it. So listen, folks, here's what you think about. We're going to be bringing you this kind of information so that you can do what you need to do, okay, to start investing in your family, so that you can learn what the banks are really doing to us and learn how to turn what seems to be a problem into a prize. I'm not saying don't borrow money. In fact, I believe in leverage. I do. But I also believe on paying the bank pennies on the dollar for the use of their money. I believe in cutting the interest cost on these loans by 75%. And we're going to show you all kinds of mortgage mechanics on how this gets done. The very things that you've been taught to do, like put a large down payment on a loan, don't do that. Get a 15-year mortgage, don't do that. Okay? How to buy down your interest rate, don't do that. Because the lower the interest rate, the harder it is to save money and to prepay the loan. We're going to show you all the tricks of the trade. Everything that banking has taught us to do over the years, we're going to show you how to throw them out one by one until all that old thinking is gone. And you have the right thinking in place, where emotion has been taken out of finances and been replaced with math. You see, when something happens, when the hot water heater blows up and you've got to replace it, you just plug all your information into here, and then the program goes to work and says, don't worry about it. You can do this instead. Okay? If you are working for the government, right, and the government goes into shutdown, don't worry about it, because you can plug all of that in here, and then the program says, do this instead. Not only that, but you have coaches that will work with you to get you through the tough times. You don't have that anywhere else. So do the math. Do the opportunity cost calculations with all of the data, and stop letting the bank dictate to you how this should be done. Stop letting them do magic tricks and saying, look over here, instead of under here where all of this money lies, because that's the money we want. But you don't see that. You see what we want you to see. So stop looking at what the bank wants you to see, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. I need you, okay, to do a couple of things for me. So let's take this off the screen. Here's what I need you to do. Start sharing this channel with as many people as you possibly can. Start watching these videos, because now we have shorter videos on YouTube. I'm sorry, we've got short videos here on YouTube. We have shorter videos on Instagram and Facebook. All right, and we have a TikTok channel. All right, so you can get snippets of our videos here. People ask questions and we answer the question, and we don't have any videos up there that are longer than 10 minutes. So you can get the bite-sized information you need to make the decision to do what's at the bottom of this screen. Click on the button that says Get a Savings and Earnings Report. Stop delaying. Go ahead and do it, and find out for yourself how much extra interest you're giving the bank that you don't have to, and see how you can invest that money in your family and turn it into another $1 million instead of giving it to them. All right. So before I got Jesus here, Jesus says, interest is the thief. What did he say? Interest is the thief of prosperity and freedom. You got that right, Jesus. Okay. You got that right. Thank you very much for being here, watching us on YouTube. All right, folks, we're getting ready to get out of here. And I want to thank you for being with me for, we've been here a little over an hour. Okay. Been here a little over an hour, but I will be back next week. Okay. Yeah, I'll be back next week, and we're going to talk about a different subject. But all of you today, I need you to share this with other folks and subscribe to the channel. You're getting the information for free. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. We want to get to 10,000 subscribers before the end of this year. I believe we're going to do it. But the only way we can do it is with your help. Share this channel with other people so that they can get the benefit. We will be back next week for another live. Now, Friday, we're going to do a replay. Sunday, we'll do a replay. But next Wednesday, we'll be back live again with more information. Oh, and by the way, if you have a subject you would like to see talked about on our show, you can submit information to us through our email, info@thepillmethod.com. info@thepillmethod.com. Share with us your information, and then make a request for a particular program, and we'll put together something for you. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. And Alex, you've been here the whole time. You need to get rid of that red ticket and join the Pill Method room in earnest. And listen, folks, today is the day, because every now and then, maybe once a month, I take time out just to talk to the people. So I'm going to put my business phone number in here, which is 256 886 1867. Okay. I put my phone number in there. Give us a call. Leave a message that you want to talk to me. 256, we're putting it in the comment section over here, 256-886-1867. All right, you can do that. Also, I'm going to put a link in, and you can get a free 15 minutes with me. All right, let me get that link for you here. All right, let me see here. Okay. And let's see, we need calendar links. There we go. Here is a calendar link. There we go. I put it in there. Free. So you can sign up for a 15-minute meeting. We'll put it over here on Clubhouse as well. There it is. Okay. So I'm looking forward to speaking with you. We want to grow our audience. We want to help as many people as we possibly can. So remember, get a savings and earnings report, subscribe to our channels, and tell other people about this. I hope this has been beneficial for you. Before we go, let's hear from somebody who has benefited from our program, and then we'll say goodbye.
Listen to me, y'all. But one of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down from my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.
All right, folks, that's it for today. Listen, thank you very much for being here. Don't forget, get a savings and earnings report. Go to ceodon.com, get a savings report. Also, subscribe to our channel and tell as many people as you possibly can to watch the videos on YouTube. And we will be back next week. Thank you again for being here. I so appreciate you. Bye-bye now.